friend time.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast. It's the podcast where you find new friends and new music. And this week I am joined by a Vermont native whose Instagram describes her as an entrepreneur, independent artist, and a songwriter, but I don't even think that begins to describe her tenacity. You might have heard her on Upchurch's certified gold song Cowboy, and she'll be taking the stage at Freedom Jam this summer. I'm talking about Carly Rogers. And before we bring her on, we have a special guest. This week's episode is brought to you by Freedom Jam, happening this summer in Missouri. And joining us today is the man behind it all, Brian Judy. Brian, man, how the heck are you?
Man, we're doing great. You know, Freedom Jam's only 6 months away, but it seems like it's tomorrow. So
those 6 months are going to go quick.
Exactly. And I know I'm not as big a name as Carly Rogers. I'm kind of a big deal. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, we're excited to have all these artists, including Carly, come to our event this year. And we're just really, really stoked.
Well, I'm excited because the podcast itself, we're going to be able to make our way out there this year and get to see it in person, which is super exciting. We were supposed to be there last year. Obviously, COVID got in the way. But for anybody that's never heard of Freedom Jam before, it's a fundraiser concert for Operation Triage, which is something that's pretty close to your heart, Brian. But before we get into Operation Triage, just kind of give everybody the backstory of what Freedom Jam is and how it came about.
All right. So Freedom Jam basically is a concert of, I would say, mainly independent artists. That's where we want to focus. Although some of our independent artists have won numerous awards, like you had even said with Carly. But we're a full-blown concert going from 11 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night. And if you're not at this, then shame on you. But the whole thing is this concert was originally started with me getting about 3 different country music artists I know, and it is spread to where it is. And we have a list of about 72 artists now who want to participate in Freedom Jam one way or another, in the future years. All proceeds of the event go to Operation Triage, which is a 501c that helps veterans, first responders, and active military.
Well, and this is happening just outside of St. Louis, right?
Yeah, it's just south. It's in Eureka. So if you guys want to come out and check out Freedom Jam, it is about 5 miles away from Six Flags. So you can go hang out at the park.
You get your whole weekend planned out.
There you go.
And, listeners of the podcast might be familiar with some of the names that are going to be on stage this year. Obviously, Carly Rogers, who we're going to talk to here in a minute. But Alexandra Kay, who's one of our favorite guests of all time. She's going to be there on stage just before Carly Rogers. And then it's headlined by Ryan Daniel. But this is something that you guys have been doing for the last couple of years. What's new this year, Brian?
This year, so our motto is bigger, badder, better. So we put Freedom Jam 2020 on in the middle of a pandemic. Sold out as much as we could because we had to have social distancing. So we had about 600 people, which is good when you plan for about 7 months for the concert, and in the middle of a pandemic and still had 600 people there. That's pretty amazing. This year we're going to max out at 3,500.
Wow.
So that's a humongous jump. So if we sell out all of our tickets, like we're planning to, we will exceed donating over $105,000 to Operation Triage.
Well, that's incredible.
It's insane.
And so this is going down August 28th. So the weekend before Labor Day weekend, out in Eureka, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis, 11 o'clock in the morning to 10:30 at night. And tickets are on sale now, right?
Yes, you can get them at Eventbrite. You can also go to our website, which is www.operationtriage.org. If you scroll all the way down to the page, there's a link, and it will take you to the Eventbrite site.
Well, that makes it extremely easy. Brian, thank you so much for letting us get involved in Freedom Jam. It's a great opportunity. If you're interested in Freedom Jam, check the link in the description of this podcast for tickets. We'll also have a link there for Operation Triage, because if you can't make it out to the show itself, Freedom Jam 2021, then definitely go online and see how you can support Operation Triage, because they do some absolutely great work. Right, Brian?
Absolutely. And if you haven't, if you've ever been to a concert, 11.5 hour concert for $30, please let me know.
Right. I don't think that's something that happens on a regular basis,
I
and
don't
definitely
think so.
not one that they can give back money to another organization afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. And just on the Operation Triage side, we've got 7 projects going right now where we're helping various veterans here in the St. Louis market do things from widen the doorways to full basement blowouts to creating PTSD rooms. So we thank everybody that wants to be part of this, and it's just a way that we can give back.
Well, that's awesome. And especially in this time when so many people are struggling due to COVID restrictions and all of that, veterans and first responders definitely need that help as well. And Operation Triage is doing a great job at that. Brian, thank you so much for letting us get involved. But what do you say we tee it off now with Carly Rogers?
Let's do it.
It's time to tee off with Ty and today's guest, Carly Rogers. Here comes the first 4.
And here we go. Let's just jump into question number 1 with today's guest, Carly Rogers. And Carly, if you couldn't be in the entertainment industry, what job would you have?
Ooh, this is such a good question that I've never been asked before. I love this question. I wasn't prepared for this answer. When I was a kid, I always used to watch like the animal rescue shows on Animal Planet. So like farm rescues, dogs, cats, like different types of like pets that would be rescued that were being neglected. So maybe a veterinarian or maybe something in that line of work. But I'm also not good at science, so maybe not. But I've also always really respected civil servants and first responders, and like police officers and firefighters. My dad's a firefighter and my brother's a police officer. And so I've always been really fascinated with that too. But I'll say this, like I said, I wasn't prepared for this question because I don't really think about that very often, which is wild. I don't really have that, oh, what do I do next? Or what's plan B or nothing like that. So that was a really good question. That caught me off guard. Actually, that was good.
Not having a plan B is not always the worst thing in your line of work.
It makes you really work at what you're doing because there's not really a fallback, right? So even the nights where I'm like, why am I doing this? Or, what the craziness, whatever, what have you with this type of industry, there's not really a fallback plan. So yeah, we make it work.
Okay, how about this one? What's your favorite song of all time?
This one's tough. I have so many favorite songs. Oh man, I have so many favorite songs of all the time. I really love the song Don't Close Your Eyes by Keith Whitley just because I'm such a huge fan of him. And actually, Brian will tell you too, we do have a recorded version of that song it's a cover song that we're going to release on Spotify and iTunes and all that, but we're remixing it. We played it over some more speakers and wanted to tune up some things. So we're remixing it and putting it out this summer. Nice. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I like that song a lot. I also really enjoy Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow is one of my favorites. But right now I'm really hooked on this Coetzel song called Something to Talk About.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is. It really, I feel like I relate.
I bet. I mean, Co is one of those kind of, I don't want to say underappreciated artists, but he's got some of those songs that really stick out to people.
Well, that, and also, I mean, it's just so organic and authentic that it's almost undeniable. You either love it or you don't. But I think also the caveat with Co is that, prime example, today is Coetzel Day, February 28th, 2016 was when he got pulled over for a DUI or something. And so, and today, the day of recording, I'm not sure when this will be released, but, or I guess that was yesterday. Today's March 1st. I don't know what my days are, Ty.
We're all lost at this point. We've all been stuck in the house for way too long. Days don't matter.
Yeah. Stuck in the house and I'm in the house bored or whatever that new song is that all the kids are dancing to.
So how about this? Question number 3 of the first 4. What character from a TV show or a movie would you bring to life?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good one. These are
I promise.
stumpers.
Once you get through these first four, the rest of the questions are easy because you're just talking about yourself.
Good. Let's see. I really love I love the Lion King. So if I could make like a Simba come to life, where Simba could be like a house pet, I would do that in a heartbeat. Like if I could make Simba and Nala be house pets in real life, that'd be awesome.
Okay. I like that answer. Okay. Last question of the first four. If you could have an unlimited supply of anything, whiskey, tacos, guitar strings, scotch tape, whatever, what would it be? And it can't be money or money-making machines.
That's a nice little thing there at the end. Yeah, that because I definitely would have been like, yeah, I want a money machine. Call me John Anderson. I don't know. I eat a lot of pizza, but it's bad for me. But I also really love chicken quesadillas. I've been on a chicken quesadilla kick. So if I'm being rational and trying to be somewhat healthy, it would probably be chicken quesadillas and salsa. Because I dip my chicken quesadilla in my salsa.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like it.
I'm a big food guy.
Well, this has become the big food question. We've heard Fruity Pebbles, tacos. That's why that's on there. Fruit Loops. Really, it's become a cereal question. But I like the addition of quesadillas. I can always get behind a good quesadilla.
Yeah, there's nothing, and it's really hard to mess them up. You know, you really can't mess them up.
Well, Carly, that was the first four. Thanks for playing along. But now, let's get into talking about you. Let's get into the easy questions. Give us the Cliff Notes version of growing up in Vermont and tell us how you got into music.
Yeah, so I love this because it's so, like, as a kid, I love to sing and always had music on in the car, made my parents turn the stereo on. And like, my parents are the kind of people that will drive all the way from Vermont to Florida, 25 hours. And not turn the radio on once. And I don't know how they do it. I understand now because now I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. But the two of them just talk to each other and they do work and stuff. So they wouldn't really listen to the radio a lot. So I'd always make sure they had it on. But I love this question because it's just so organic. And I basically just asked my BMX track director. We used to race BMX. And there's a big state race, and I just asked him, hey, we just learned the national anthem in kindergarten. You know, we literally or first grade maybe, literally had just learned all the words and how to sing it. Can I sing it today instead of playing the recording? They just would do the full band recording, whatever. And he kind of tested me and was like, do you know all the words? And I go, yep. And I think I was 5. And he let me jump up there with my helmet on because I was the 3rd or 4th moto. So I had to like run up there. I never asked my parents' permission. I asked my grandmother's permission actually. And she was like, you go for it. Like, you got it 100%. You go ahead and do it. And I was so shy. I would never sing like in front of my parents or anything like that. Like if my parents were like, prove to us that you know all the words, I'd be like, I'm not doing it. Like for whatever reason, I was always just very fearful of their judgment, even though they've never had a judgment. And, but I was totally fine with singing in front of a bunch of strangers. So ran right up there, grabbed the microphone, put it right into my helmet and sang. And there ended up being like 2,500 people at the track there that day. And, just ran right up the starting hill, got right on my bike and raced. And that was like my first time ever performing. And from then on, I just was always singing the national anthem around town and ended up being one of the only people that were singing the national anthem around town and played sports. And so sang at all the varsity games and the middle school games and the Pee Wee League games and the parades and stuff like that. And then I joined a rock and roll cover band when I was in the 7th grade, started by a guy named Sam Clement, and he's awesome. And we had this little rock band. We play everything from Ozzy Osbourne to Led Zeppelin to Jimi Hendrix to like, we would even do some, what's that? It's really good to hear your voice saying my name. What's that? Is that Hinder, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we played all sorts of music. And then my grandmother told me when I was in high school, if you want to do country music, you got to move to Nashville. Like, that's where you got to go. So I applied to one college and I got in, no problem. And packed up a Penske truck while my parents were at work and drove my ass on. I'm not sure if I can say the A word. I'm so sorry, but drove my butt ski right on down to Nashville. And my best friend at the time had jumped in the truck with me. So we just drove on down. We drove 19 hours straight, no stopping. clear across New York State, all the way down through Ohio and Kentucky, and unpacked the truck and moved into my first college dorm and went right down to Broadway and started paying the bands down there $20 a song to let me get up and sing with them, and spent a lot of money my first week here doing that. And, my parents were so supportive that they even were like, we understand that you have to have a fake ID even just to get into these bars to be able to sing. And not that I was doing anything wrong or I was doing something wrong. I had a fake identification card that was probably pretty illegal and would have gotten me in a lot of trouble, but it worked for me at the time. And I think the world's probably changed, so I wouldn't recommend that on anybody, but it worked for me. And that's how I started getting my first job down there, and gigging and bartending and just doing the thing. So that's kind of the clip.
As a 17-year-old, it had to be, I don't want to say a culture shock necessarily, but moving down there, a lot of people move to different cities away from their parents, different states to go to college, but it was more than that for you. I mean, you moved down to Nashville to go to college, but also to do exactly what you said, to jump on stage and play with people. I mean, how much different was that for you to be able to, I say be able to, but to go into a bar and pay to jump on stage at a place like that versus where you were playing in Vermont?
Yeah, well, when I was in Vermont, I couldn't play anywhere because everybody knew who the Rogers were and knew that, because and it's just hometown stuff, and I could do a restaurant here and there. But a lot of the places up there, if they do have live music, it's only on the weekends and this and that and the other. And it was just thinking about it right now and kind of flashing back to that and flashing back to that feeling of just being able to say, hey, I have $20. Can I sing a song? Like, can you play this song and I sing it? Like, here's $20, whatever. And it was every single band, bar after bar. And at the time, there was only 26 bars on Broadway. And we would do it every day, 4 times a day per shift. They started at 10 a.m. and they ended 2 a.m. And we would just go and go and go and go until we lost our fake IDs. And the culture shock part was really more so, like, the negative side was not having any family or friends here. That was the hardest part, being a 17-year-old with no friends or anything like that, or family close by in the event that something happened. But I also really loved that I just was somebody that nobody had ever seen or knew or heard of or nothing. And I just had my fun with it. And shamelessly, there would be some days where I got up and I messed all the words up, and I was so glad that nobody knew who I was, so they wouldn't pick on me in school the next day. Or, their parents weren't making fun of me at the pizza place down the road where my parents are sitting at the bar. You know what I mean? Like, so that the shocking part was definitely the amount of people and not knowing anybody, but it was also so cool. Like, that was almost my favorite part, was being in just a completely different pond, Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the anonymity is nice. I mean, a lot of people just assume that if you're up on stage, you want everybody to know who you are and to love you. But sometimes that anonymity is nice, especially in situations like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are definitely times where I'm like, this is probably actually my tour manager, now we've gotten to the point where, like, now that the bars are opening back up, we're like, where can we go where we're not going to see anybody that we know? Where can we go that nobody's going to know who we are, and having the social media presence is awesome. But there are some times where it's just really nice to be able to go somewhere and not a single person has any clue, in the event that you trip and fall, or you drink a little too much, or you spill something, whatever the case is. It's awesome. It's very fun. I love it.
Well, and now that you're more established in Nashville, what's the biggest lesson you learned moving down there as young as you did? And what kind of advice would you give to somebody else that's looking to do the same thing?
I would first and foremost advise not to spend all your money if you don't have to. Like, I just spent so much money stupidly on food and experiences that, at the time, I just was going into these places and, like, wasting all these $20 bills when I probably could have just thrown in a couple of dollars, and said, like, hey, can I sing a song? And if they're like, we only do that for 20, then I would have thrown in the 20. But instead, I just went to everybody and was like, I have 20, So, I let people jump up and sing with me for free when I play those bar gigs. So that's one of the biggest lessons I learned, was saving your money. because it comes in handy, especially during pandemics.
I feel like that's just good advice for anybody that's moving out on their own or going to college anywhere, even if you're not in Nashville trying to pay to get up on stage. But I think that's like the biggest struggle for young college kids is save your money. Don't spend it on everything. So that's pretty good advice.
Absolutely. Especially when you have a meal plan at the college that's getting paid for by your tuition that you're already paying for 3 meals a day, and you're going and spending more money eating at bars that is already overpriced and this, that, and the other. I mean, they're different options, but yeah, saving money is good. Being cautious in new places. I mean, the world's a crazy place. So you always want to be careful of other people too, and being mindful of being a good person. I've definitely learned that some people just have bad days, and meeting somebody on their bad day doesn't mean you have to make it worse for them, and it doesn't have to ruin your day either. I've met a lot of people that I looked up to or respected and ended up, they were just having a bad day. And I've been able to, say that to myself, like either, hey, this person's a real big jerk, or, hey, they're just having a bad day. And maybe the next time I see them, they'll be in a better mood. And that's definitely been the case with a lot of people that I've met. And so that's another big lesson for anybody, saving money and being kind to people are just two really, really golden rules that I hold pretty near and dear.
Well, those are definitely solid rules to kind of build any foundation with. And you talk about meeting new people and interacting with them. And we talked about this in the intro right at the top of the show, but you and Ryan Upchurch, as everybody knows him, had a song that went out or that came out. It went gold. But what I want to know is, how did you get hooked up with Ryan Upchurch, and how did you guys end up writing together? And I guess recording together as well.
Yeah, so we met at a friend's birthday party. And the friend whose birthday it was, his name's Taylor Phillips, who's another prominent writer here in Nashville. He's got a bunch of #1 songs with a couple of different artists, and he just basically put me in a headlock. And I say headlock as in he put me in a headlock and walked me over to Ryan and just goes, "Hey, this is Carly. Carly, meet Church." And Ryan's like, "What's up?" in Church. And I go, "Your name's Church?" And I think I was 19. This was back in 2016. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm Upchurch." And I go, "Okay, well, what'd your mom name you?" And he was like, "Well, I'm Ryan." I go, "Okay, Ryan, nice to meet you. I'm Carly." And Taylor kind of like nudged me and was like, "Shut up," but we just got to talking, and he's like, "If you ever want to come record." Taylor ended up pulling a guitar out, and there are a couple other incredible artists there that people probably have heard of. And so we just had this big old jam session, and I played a couple, and Ryan was like, "Hey, for real, like if you're as good as Taylor says you is, or Taylor says you is, listen to me talk. If you're as good as Taylor says you are, come on to the studio next week, whatever, and we'll write something." So we wrote Step on It the first day. And then I had walked out to the car, and Ryan writes so quickly. Like, he writes down a line, goes and records it, comes back out, writes down a line, goes in, records it. It's so fast. And we just, we wrote Step on It and recorded it in like an hour. Came back out to my car and was waiting for my car to warm up. And I go, "Hey, I've got another idea for you that it literally had just popped into my head. And honestly, if it had popped into my head sooner, I would have written it today instead. But if you want to get back in tomorrow, I'll split the studio time with you, whatever." And then we wrote Cowboy. So I just had this line pop into my head of, "I'm in love with a cowboy." And so we ended up getting in the studio the next day, did that one. And both songs, I think Cowboy came out like 2 years later in 2018 or 2019, maybe 2017. I can't remember. And then Step on It just came out this last year. And yeah, they both records went #1 on Billboard, which is really exciting.
So how cool is that for you, as an artist of your size, to have a song that's so big? And what was that like when you found out about it?
I was over the moon, ecstatic. In my own head, the people that truly care about me and truly love me were over the moon, ecstatic. Like, Ryan was so happy for me that happened, like that his process and his opportunity has allowed him to make that happen for me. That he bought my plaque for me, which when you get plaques, they're very expensive. You have to order them. You have to have them made. You have to have them. You can customize them, whatever. But they're multiple hundreds of dollars. And not to say that I couldn't afford it, but I know other artists who have also had songs with songwriters that they wouldn't have done the same thing for their songwriters. They just were like, yeah, congrats, you're welcome, hope you get to buy your own plaque. Whereas Ryan was like, dude, I'm so happy for you, let me buy it for you so that you can put it up in your house. And so we all appreciated it. What really sucked about it was that there were a lot of people that came out of the woodworks that were like, oh, but it's not your song. You and like friends, friends and acquaintances that were either jealous or in disbelief, and unfortunately would throw out comments like, well, it's not your song, it's Upchurch's song, and the only reason you got it was because of Upchurch. It's like, yeah, of course, but the only reason Ryan had that song was because we wrote it. And just like any artist that ever gets a song that does well, unless they wrote it by themselves, somebody else helped them write it. So that would be like taking away Ray Fulcher's number ones and saying, hey, Ray, your number ones aren't valid because Luke Combs got those songs for you, whereas that's not the case, and they get celebrated. So it was a weird, very weird line between, hey, we really support you and we're really happy for you. And it was also a very, like, the complete opposite was like, oh yeah, you don't deserve it. Excuse me.
Well, and it's such a like an odd, I don't want to say odd mix, but it's such a unique thing, I think, to country music, where you have all of these co-writes. And I guess pop music is kind of the same, because sometimes you'll get 15 writers on a pop song. But in country music, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that the biggest songs in country music typically aren't written by the person that's performing them. Not to say that that's not the case, but
I didn't know that until I moved to Nashville. That was the biggest, like, boom, mind-blowing thing that I learned when I moved to Nashville. That, yeah, like, they may have co-written 4 songs on the album, and the ones that went big weren't even the ones that they wrote.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's kind of funny, because sometimes you can listen to an album, and just listening to the album, you can tell which 4 or 5 songs the artist actually had a part in creating versus what else they recorded just because they like the song, connected with it, and that sort of thing. But anybody that says that you didn't deserve that because it's an Upchurch song is absolutely nuts, in my opinion.
Oh, and I have fun with it. I've gotten to a point too, and I don't know if and I'm not trying to even get too like astronomical here, but I don't know if things happen for a reason. I don't know if the universe or God or whatever power that anybody believes in really has everything aligned in such a certain manner. But I tell you what, I swear, I got bullied so bad as a kid so I could make it through like those comments, being bullied and picked on as a kid so bad growing up. You had to kind of take things on the chin or laugh about it or joke about it or make fun of yourself for it. And all the time I'm like, yep, I'm just a redneck. Like, yep, I'm lucky.
You are cut out for being in the spotlight in this digital age then.
Yes, but I am very fortunate. I very rarely now, and I tend to post them whenever I do, but I very rarely get negative comments where they're like hateful. I very rarely get negative comments on the internet from anybody. All of the people that follow me are pretty supportive. I don't get a lot of outside traction yet, thank goodness, from anybody that's mean or vindictive or malicious. It's a lot of support. So that also helps boost my ego a little bit. I'm very much in my own head, like, I'm the best, and I know that I'm not, of course, but in my head I tell myself all the time, like, I'm awesome, like, I'm the coolest. Me and Carly will say, and we're just the coolest ever, even though of course we know that we're not, but we say that to ourselves because we're so funny. And you know what I mean, like, we're making a joke of ourselves because people are like, oh, look how cool they are, and then we just go, yeah, we're the coolest cats on the block.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the way you've got to be. Especially now. But I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your songwriting. You were kind enough to share a couple of songs for everybody to take a listen to. But before we get to those, how would you describe your sound to somebody that hasn't ever heard you before?
I've started to describe myself as a more boy crazy Sheryl Crow, because
Okay.
every song that I've pretty much put out so far has been about like breakups and stuff, but that just ends up being the way the cookie crumbles. I don't really date a lot. I don't have a lot of heartbreaks. I don't have a lot of like relationship problems or boys that I write songs about. But every song that I've put out so far, except for I think like one or two, has to do with a love story or a broken-hearted story, and so I call it like a Taylor Swifty Sheryl Crow.
There you go.
But it's
I like
just this like pop rock country mix hybrid. We're starting to lean more toward the country. At first it was very poppy. We went pretty rock for a little bit, and we're really figuring out the even mix between that rock and country and lyrical content, the whole trifecta.
Well, and I want to talk more about your songwriting and kind of be everything behind that. But first, I want to give everybody a taste of your style so that they can really kind of understand what we're talking about. And the first song that we have for everybody is called The Situation. Give us the story about how this song came about.
We wrote this song, myself, Matt Wynn, and Katie Columbia just got together, and we were talking about Matt Wynn just thinks that I am the funniest. I feel like sometimes with some of the stories that I would tell just from like growing up. And we were literally just telling stories about this one party that I went to when I was in high school. It was somebody's farm, and just talking about how we would just roll up to people's houses because I had cousins all over the place in different towns. And so I'd get one cousin that'd be like, hey, come out to North Hoosick tonight. We're partying at Mulready's house. Or, hey, we're heading out to Tough Beach tonight over in, White Creek, or whatever the case is. And this just one time we were talking about this story, and Matt goes, that sounds like a situation. And we just ended up writing about it. And true story that somebody was ripping donuts in a compact car out in the lawn, and there was somebody fighting out back. But we would roll up and nobody would really know who we were. They just knew my cousins, and it would be me and 2 or 3 girlfriends. And so we just have fun. But it's all about just pulling up to somebody else's party or rolling into a new city now, because we just go city to city at this point, and being like, hey, we're cool. We're just trying to have fun. We're trying to make new friends. We have a good time. We're not trying to cause any problems, not trying to hit on anybody's boyfriends, but we just, and we just have ourselves a little situation. Everywhere we go.
I'm going to have to follow you guys around when we're in St. Louis for Freedom Jam, because I need a good car doing donuts in the front yard kind of party. I haven't been to one of those since college.
Know where we'll find one, but I can guarantee we can find one.
Deal. Well, here, let's let everybody take a listen to this one. It's called The Situation by today's guest, Carly Rogers.
Nobody's walking on eggshells. Yeah, we know this ain't our turf, but let's avoid that jail cell. 'Cause don't nobody wanna get hurt. Yeah, we got that text with the address, slept in my best dress and showed up a little late. I feel alive. But we just hit a party tonight. Here's the situation. Don't need to know what you're doing, just what you're drinking. Forget your reputation, keep moving to the beat, 'cause dancing don't require thinking. You can be a preacher's daughter or a prodigal son. No, it wouldn't matter to me none. Getting rowdy with our new friends till the sun comes up. 'Cause we're just here to party, party. Yeah, we're just here to party, party. Somebody's causing a ruckus.
Somebody's causing a ruckus.
Yeah, there's something going on out back, but we don't want no part of it.
Hey, cool it, buddy.
Too busy emptying these glasses. Billy's got a four-wheeler out in the yard, and Bobby's ripping donuts in a compact car. Might have just met tonight, but we ain't trying to hide who we are. Here's the situation. Don't need to know what you're doing, just what you're drinking. Get your reputation, keep moving to the beat, 'cause dancing don't require thinking. You can be a here to party, party. Oh, we're here to party. We're just here to party, party. We're just here to party, party. Now here's the situation. Don't need to know what you're doing, just what you're drinking. Get your reputation, keep moving to the beat, 'cause there's an old fire thinking. Be a preacher's daughter or a prodigal son. No, it wouldn't matter to me now. Getting rowdy with our new friends till the song comes on. 'Cause we're just here to party, party. And we're just here to party, party. We're just here to party. We're just here to party.
And guys, that was The Situation by Carly Rogers. And Carly, we heard from Brian Judy earlier on from Freedom Jam. He's excited to have you there. I'm excited to actually travel out to the show. I wasn't able to make it last year, but we'll have a chance to actually meet you. We're going to go find some parties apparently, but it's a pretty cool event that they've thrown together out there. What was it that made you decide to jump on the bill and help support Operation Triage?
Well, I've got a lot of family that are veterans. Like I said, my dad's a firefighter, my brother's a police officer, but other than those two, I mean, most of the cousins, uncles, grandparents have always been military. And so I respect our military more than most do, I think is safe to say. And whatever cause I can to help. I've done a couple of different other benefits for veterans and stuff around Tennessee and all over the country. And so when Brian approached me about it, I couldn't turn it down. And what a great cause. And of course, too, they also benefit first responders, which is incredible, which my brother's a police officer. My dad's a firefighter. So it's to me, that was just, I mean, it was a no brainer. We're actually even playing the night before before Freedom Jam now on that Friday. So Freedom Jam's the 28th. We're now also playing at Diamonds that Friday as well. So we get to have a full party, just Carly Rogers Friday night. And then Saturday we get to be like, hey, we're back. We're going to have another party. So it's going to be fun.
Nice. And I don't know the backstory behind this, but I promised Brian that I would ask you if you've put out any sleeveless muscle shirts lately.
Sleeveless muscle shirts. I have not. I actually have to custom make them for somebody. And I think that I was supposed to custom make one for somebody that I never sent. I think that may have slipped through the cracks, but no, I've not put out any muscle shirt merch yet.
He said something about you tearing the sleeves off of somebody else's shirt last year.
I cut them. Yes. So somebody wanted to wear a muscle shirt. And so I cut the sleeves off for them. I'm really good at cutting off sleeves. I used to play sports and I would cut the sleeves off of all my t-shirts.
See, and that's a talent that I feel like is not recognized enough unless you've tried to cut your sleeves off of your shirt yourself, because you can really mess it up.
It's very easy to mess it up. It's very hard to fix. So it's very easy to spill a glass of water, but it's also very easy to pick up. It's very hard to pick up spilled glue that's dried on the counter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, once you get too far, man, you get too far, and everybody's different. But it is a hidden talent. It is something that I pride myself in. I put it on my one sheet and my resume. It's a little golden nugget. Yeah.
I love it. Well, here, let's pivot back a little bit and talk about your songwriting. When you sit down to write, are you one of those people that's got like a voice memo app that's absolutely full, or like a waterproof whiteboard in the shower? What happens when inspiration comes to you and you're not in a car sitting outside of the studio with Upchurch inside?
I definitely do the voice memo thing. I write down lyrics and I try to ride the wave for as long as possible. So sometimes I'll just get like a hook line, like here's a situation, whatever. I get the melody and the lyrics at the same time. And sometimes I just get like a whole verse and a whole chorus. It really does just kind of like pop into my head, and it comes from nowhere. And I know it sounds a little wanky and crazy, but that's every single song that I've ever written, unless we sit in a room with writers. Like Just Another is a song of mine that I wrote just by myself, and Need You is a song of mine that I wrote just by myself. And both of them, I just was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden it was the whole thing just kind of spewed out of me in about 7 minutes, both of them, very quick. And I don't know what that is, but they just kind of popped in. As far as like when I go into co-writes and stuff, I definitely have notes. I mean, I scroll through notes and notes and notes of just like one line ideas or concepts or voice memos with melodies and stuff. But typically they all come to me at the same time. So like the melody and the lyrics will kind of pop into my head at the same time. And then it's whatever the writers want to write.
So are you somebody that likes going to co-writes more than writing by yourself, or do you like to write by yourself, or does it just kind of depend on the song?
Well, back when I had a lot more time and when we could really write in person, I do enjoy co-writing. I enjoy co-writing with people that I know that I write well with. I never was really a fan of like meeting new writers because they always ended up being fairly wasteful days. But I also now not only write my own music and perform my own music, but I also do my own social media management, my own touring management, my own booking management, like my accounting, everything. So it's like really hard for me to find time to co-write now, unless I schedule it out like weeks in advance. And I miss it a little bit, but it's most convenient when I'm able to write by myself for sure. But I always get the better songs when I'm writing with other people.
Well, and we've got another song here for everybody. It's your latest single. It just came out at the beginning of February. It's called Wannabe. Give us a story of how this came about. Did you write this by yourself or with other people?
So I wrote 3/4 of it by myself. I was on a writer's retreat actually with Allie Colleen and excuse me, Matt Wynn, Kelly Johnson, a couple others. And we were sitting out cooking dinner in the kitchen of this cabin down in North Georgia. And all of a sudden I just got this, I want to be the girl you and I kept singing it over and over and over. Like I was almost trying to ignore it because I wanted to save it. But I was like, whatever is putting this in my mind right now, I have to get it out. I locked myself in the bedroom, wrote down some things, wrote down the first verse and chorus and some of the second verse. And then the next day I was like, I'm so stuck. Somebody help me with this line. And Matt just threw in a couple more lines to end the second verse. And we called it a day.
Well, here, let's let everybody take a listen to this one too. It's called Wannabe. It's brand new music from Carly Rogers. Here it is.
I never thought I'd find you. But here we are tonight. I'm not trying to rush this any faster. Yeah, I hope this comes out right. I wanna be the girl you wanna take back home to mama. I wanna be the shotgun seat in a fastback Toronado. Be the June to your Johnny, an umbrella for your rain. Forever you can call me by my first and your last name. I'm looking for a shotgun seat in a classic Toronado. Be the June to your Johnny, an umbrella for your rain. Forever you can call me by my first and your last name. Forever you can call me by my first and your last name. Yeah, forever by my first and your last name.
And that one, brand new music. It's called Wannabe by today's guest, Carly Rogers. And Carly, you've got so much going on. You say that you manage it all yourself. Where can people follow you along on social media? What are your handles?
Yep. So Facebook is Carly Rogers. I think it's like facebook.com/Carly Rogers Music. And the easiest way to do it is just Google, because however you spell it, it's going to come up. Very rarely will you type in any sort of variation of Carly Rogers and it doesn't come up. But so it's Carl with a Y, Rogers, no D, because I'm a lady. And so that's Facebook. Instagram is Rogers Carly. Twitter, I don't recommend following my Twitter because sometimes I say I talk a lot of smack on Twitter. I'll put it that way. But I'm on Twitter, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. If you got one of them Alexa things, you can just tell Alexa to play it. And then on some of the radio stations near you, we play at some really awesome independent radio stations that play our music too. So you might hear me on a country station.
Well, there you go. I love it. What do you have in store for 2021? We already know about Freedom Jam happening in August, but that's quite a ways away. Do you have more music in store for everybody?
Yes, we plan on putting out another new song next month, or this month, I guess. We have some really big shows coming up in June and July with Granger Smith, Whiskey Myers, Cadillac 3, Upchurch, Tyler Farr. We're all over the country, really, which is going to be really cool. And we're doing it all ourselves. So shout out to all the independent artists out there.
Absolutely. And Carly, thank you so much for jumping on here. I'm excited to see you in August at Freedom Jam and apparently the night before as well. So that's definitely going to be a party. But before we let you go, we end every show the same way. It's called the Final Four, and it's some thinkers like the first four.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
It's time for the Final Four.
Question number 1. What's your favorite venue that you've ever played in?
There's one that holds real near and dear to my heart that's no longer a venue anymore. And I don't even know if you would technically call it a venue. It was a bar that would let me come in and play. And they were one of the first places that would pay me to play music. And it was called Seaside Motel the Seaside Inn in Newport Richey, Florida. It was a little dive bar. You could smoke inside. And even when all the doors were closed, you could smoke inside. And they'd pay me money to go in there and play. So that's probably one of my favorites. But I also love playing the Cotton Eye Joe out in Knoxville. It was always a good time. And I really enjoyed the Stockyard last year earlier this year with Allie Colleen in Holiday, Florida. So
Nice.
a couple of different places.
Those are
Diamond,
good
of course,
choices.
in St. Peters, Missouri was also probably top 3.
Nice. Okay, how about this? Who are your 3 most recently played artists on your Spotify or Apple? And you can cheat.
You're gonna be surprised. It's like Russ, the rapper. I'm gonna say Saweetie. She's another female rapper, and 50 Cent. I think are probably gonna be the top 3.
Okay. So you're definitely.
I'm a big rap guy.
There you go. Okay, how about this one? This one's similar to the first question, but what's your favorite on-stage memory?
My first time ever hearing a crowd sing my song back, like I sang Cowboy by myself at the Cotton Eye Joe with Upchurch back in 2020. And it was January 1st, and I jumped up on the box, on the subwoofer. I was in heels, and I literally jumped up to go to sing. And everybody just started singing it for me. And I freaked out so much that I went to jump back down and almost rolled my ankle in these 4-inch heels.
Oh, no.
And it was so fun though. And then also one time I got one of his sold out crowds to chant my name they said, Carly, Carly. And it was like 2,000 people. And that was the coolest thing ever.
That's got to be a pretty unique experience. I mean, there's only so many places that you can get somebody or a crowd to chant your name, and being up on stage as a performer is probably one of the few.
Well, you see how people react like when their name's being chanted in a bar in their hometown where they grew up with the same people that they grew up with, just to take a shot. You know what I mean? Like that feeling of somebody just like of you getting attention from multiple people that are it's like cheering you on to support you is just an incredible feeling, whether it's 5 people at the bar or it's 2,000 people at your show or at somebody else's show that you get to play for, you know? I'm not even going to claim that was my show. It was Ryan's show that I got to play for. And it was a very cool and memorable experience. I have the video saved of the chanting and it just was awesome.
Nice. Okay, here we go. Last question. And this is either the hardest or the easiest question that I'm going to ask you the whole time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you could pick one thing for people to take away from this podcast and your music in general, what would it be?
And I like to talk about myself a lot. I hope that people want to learn more about me. You know, I hope that people want to learn because I do music because I love attention and I don't like to be annoying about it. Right. So I really enjoy having attention and I love when people want to know things about me. So you learn a lot about me through my music. You learn a lot about me through my social media, interviews like this. And I just hope that people are like, I really want to hear the next interview too. I want Carly to come back on this podcast so that I can hear more about her story. Cause that to me is like the curiosity is like the biggest reward of all of this is people being like, who is she? What does she do? What does she want? Like, even though sometimes I love going places where nobody knows anything about me, I really love and enjoy, and I'm addicted to people and just asking me things about myself and me telling them.
Well, that's awesome. We'll definitely have to have you on here again in the future to do just that.
I would love that. I would love nothing more.
Awesome. Carly, thank you so much. We'll let you get back about your day, but I appreciate it so much. And thanks for jumping on here with us.
You as well. Thank you very much, Ty. I appreciate you. I'll see you in August.
Sounds good. And that was another episode of the Tea Party Podcast. It's the country music podcast where you find new friends and new music like Carly Rogers and her brand new single, Wannabe.
Go tee off on the like button at facebook.com/Tea Party Podcast. This has been a Tea Party Communications production. Theme music created by Jesse Quant. Announcer voiceovers by Jay Gwynn. And as always, hosted by Ty Pisani.